After being diagnosed with terminal cancer, an illness that would eventually kill her, writer Audre Lorde described the experience as living with a harsh and urgent clarity. It was a clarity that left her forcibly and essentially aware of her mortality. Out of that clarity, she spoke these searing words. "I am a black lesbian feminist warrior poet doing my work. Come to ask you, are you doing yours?" When Lorde speaks of doing her work, she isn't speaking about paid employment. Work in this sense is soul work, the emotional, creative, political, and spiritual labor of becoming who we are meant to be. It is about healing, protecting, creating, resisting. It is the fierce and tender labor of living in alignment with our spirits. Her words have always deeply resonated with me because for as long as I can remember, my deepest fear has been the distinct possibility of getting to my deathbed and realizing I lived a worthless life. Whenever I imagine this moment, I feel a powerful certainty rise in me. I don't want to leave this world before doing the work that is mine to do. Life, fleeting, fragile, miraculous, is asking something of me. And Lorde challenges us to turn inward and question, what words have I not yet spoken? What truths am I still afraid to confront? Is the life I am living the one that longs to live through me? So I ask you, as she once asked us all, are you doing your work? Very few of us ever get to do our work. We go to school, get the grades, climb the ladder, adopt the expectations and obligations handed to us that we have accepted as our own. Even the so-called countercultural circles, the artists, progressives, activists that purportedly reject the traditional path, can often just end up reinforcing a very prescriptive idea of what it means to be alternative. As neo-pagan theorist Starhawk writes, "Too many generations have asked, what do my politics tell me I should feel? The better question is, what do I, at my root, at my core, desire?" It doesn't matter what our life pursuits, if they aren't the authentic calling of our hearts, they will always feel unreal, a distortion. The gnawing voice inside of us will scream, "I wasn't put on the earth for this." There is a Hasidic tale that I love that describes the universal tendency to try to be someone else and the ultimate importance of becoming ourselves. Rabbi Zusia, when he was an old man, said, "In the coming world, they will not ask me, 'Why were you not Moses?' They will ask me, 'Why were you not Zusia?'" What we call a crisis, burnout, or breakdown, something we pathologize, therapize, or mask under a heap of medication, may well be a soul rebellion, a sacred interruption, a valuable messenger, a whisper from the life buried beneath the life we are living. To honor our unique selves, look within, and follow our longings might sound selfish or overly individualistic, but botanist and scientist Robin Wall Kimmerer reminds us that in ancient and indigenous wisdom, every being is born with a gift, and with it a sacred task. The bird gifted with song, its duty to greet the dawn with music. The earth receives the seed and in return bears fruit. The field accepts the rain and sun and in response bursts into green life. A gift is never to be hoarded. The tree doesn't keep its fruit to itself. The fire doesn't hoard its warmth. The beauty of this interdependency is that every being acts to increase its own growth, but when the individuals flourish, so does the whole system. The strength of the whole depends on the strength of its parts. Even the elements discarded, overlooked, like weeds, hold essential roles. Remove any being, and the health of all becomes precarious. Likewise, humans are not exempt from this sacred reciprocity. Each and every one of us carries gifts for this world. Like every element in an ecosystem, we play a vital and unique role. If we are gifted with healing, our duty is to ease suffering. If we are gifted with storytelling, our task is to keep memory alive. A child who sees beauty in the overlooked may be meant to remind the world of wonder. And to be clear, our gifts don't have to be just one thing. Society loves to put us in a box. What do you mean, a poetic revolutionary, a meditating gun runner? But in reality, we contain multitudes. Record producer Rick Rubin speaks so beautifully of the interconnected web of life we participate in. We may not have a great understanding of what this magnum opus is because we only see the small part we play. The bee, attracted by the scent of the flower, lands on one, then another, inadvertently enabling reproduction. Should the bee go extinct, not just flowers, but birds, small mammals, and humans would likely also cease to exist. It's fair to assume that the bee doesn't know its role in this interconnected puzzle and in preserving the balance of nature. The bee is simply being. This isn't about romanticizing or essentializing indigenous ways, but we can and must overcome what Wade Davis ferociously calls cultural myopia, the sense that other peoples are failed versions of ourselves, or that they are ancient vestigial creatures designed to fade away, and colorful humans who wear feathers. They are living, dynamic people who have something to say. We live in a world where multiple worlds exist. There are other ways of being alive, of finding meaning, of tending to the sacred that do not necessarily share our concepts, values, norms, or practices. Perhaps there is something we can learn from them. There's no need to force or coerce ourselves into shape. Just as an acorn, given the right light, water, and soil, will naturally grow into a mighty oak, so too, when nurtured with the right conditions, what is seeded inside of us will naturally emerge. Like the tree naturally bends towards light, its roots instinctively reaching for water, and the bee follows the scent of a flower, we too are full of subtle pulls and repulsion, inner leanings that, if we learn to listen, naturally pull us towards growth. If we tune in, we can hear the call in our bones, the quiet instructions of our hearts, the longings, gut instincts, hunches, quiet obsessions, the feeling of flow, of rightness, of alignment. It's a feeling of being alive. My favorite way of capturing this is from poet Rumi, who contemplated, "There is a candle in your heart ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul ready to be filled. You feel it, don't you?" I guess I'm lucky that I've been journaling obsessively since my 8th birthday, where my mum gave me a diary. So I've had a lot of practice in connecting to myself. Through that process, I realized that my inner blueprint is perfectly made for deep listening and contemplative musings about the world. I like to think there's something about my presence that invites strangers and friends alike to feel they can be heard and understood. It's not something I ever have to try at. It comes really naturally to me to go deep with people, to be so curious about other creatures and their lives. And I've learned as much about my work by my limits as well as my strengths. One of my greatest weaknesses, I think, is my tendency to be away with the fairies. People compare me to Phoebe from Friends or Luna Lovegood, yet this trait to not quite be in this world gives me the capacity to observe everything through an anthropologist's eye, to challenge taken for granted assumptions, which ultimately feeds into my writing and into these videos. And I know some of you are probably thinking, that's all well and good for you, but I don't have any gifts. But could it be that you haven't been given the opportunity to find or realize what you have inside of you, and that, as Rumi says, as you start to walk on the way appears. No one can tell you how to find or realize your gifts. There is no map, no checklist, no prescriptive plan, no linear path. What works for one person might not work for another. Psychologist Wilhelm Reich said it best. There is only one common rule valid in finding your special truth. It is to learn to listen patiently to yourself, to give yourself a chance to find your own way, which is yours and nobody else's. Perhaps for all that remains unresolved in our hearts, for all we're confused about and trying to figure out, it's best to adopt a sort of radical surrender. Love the questions themselves, like locked rooms and like books written in a very foreign language. Don't seek the answers which cannot be given now, because you wouldn't be able to live them. Live everything now. Live the questions. Perhaps then, someday far in the future, you will gradually, without even noticing it, live your way into the answer. This can be a long and arduous journey, and that's okay. What a long time it can take to become the person one has always been. How often in the process we mask ourselves in faces that are not our own. How much dissolving and shaking of ego we must endure before we discover our deep identity, the true self within every human being that is the seed of authentic vocation. And maybe we're just not there yet. It's one thing to glimpse the life that wants to live through us. It's another thing to become the person strong enough, grounded enough, and open enough to carry it. As Bell Hooks reminds us, the soul must be ready for the weight of our calling. There's no rush. We have to allow ourselves the time it takes to become who we are. Not numbering and counting, but ripening like a tree which doesn't force its sap and stands confidently in the storms of spring, not afraid that summer may not come. It does come, but it comes only to those who are patient, who are there as if eternity lay before them, so unconcernedly silent and vast. I learn it every day of my life, learn it with pain I am grateful for. Patience is everything. And no matter how old we are, what stage of life we are at, it is never too late to start living the life we are meant to live. Break the chains that bind you to the past. You have the power to begin again. To discover our work and break through the chains can be a terrifying thing. The very first thing Audre Lorde said after "I'm doing my work, are you doing yours?" is, "And of course I am afraid." The fear of not living can be easier than the quieter terror, the fear of becoming fully alive. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Then there's the fear of stepping off the edge of convention, the fear of trying and failing. And what if we listen within and our innermost guidance pulls us towards something harmful or purely hedonistic? Of course, we have to be reticent of when it's really our inner voice versus when it's ego or external voices we've internalized. We all know people who are convinced they are full of the light of the Messiah, when really we know they're just full of shit. But in general, I say, trust the feeling anyway, even if it leads to something bad. Because the more we build the muscle of listening to ourselves, truly listening, the more intolerable it becomes to give our life force over to something that doesn't correspond with the fulfillment of deeper and deeper joy. Eventually, any life that isn't aligned with our gifts, our essence, our values, becomes unbearable. Since I have a tendency towards grandiosity, the part I struggle most with in finding the work that is mine to do is accepting a small role in this world. Given all the crises we are facing, I often feel I need to do something huge and significant. I have big dreams of publishing my books and making these videos and reaching hundreds of thousands of people. But the quieter voice inside of me insists I reconnect with my older brother, who I haven't seen for 5 years, or return to England to care for my 98-year-old grandma. We're inundated with what writer Chip Ward calls the tyranny of the quantifiable, an obsession with metrics, profits, prizes. So it can be hard for me to value this type of work that is more subtle, slow, meandering, impossible to categorize.
Isn't one of the reasons why the world is in the state that it is because everybody mortgages what is really pulling at their heart for the sake of something abstract, for the thing that they think that they have to do for the numbers to work out, to suppress the care, because the numbers, the metrics, the rational plan demands that you pay attention to this other thing.
Not everyone is called to do something spectacular. Our roles may be as parents, friends, artists, cooks. We do not disapprove of a chair because it cannot boil water for a nice cup of tea, said philosopher Ido Landau. It is likewise implausible for most people to demand of themselves that they be a Michelangelo, Mozart, or Einstein. There have only been a few dozen such people in all of human history. As a child and teenager, I devoted myself to caring for my disabled best friend, neglected and sexually abused. I didn't do it out of sacrifice or self-negation. It was just what my gifts were pulling me towards at that time. Did it change the world? No, he's dead now, but the intrinsic fulfillment was enough. In a similar vein, playwright Jean-Paul Sartre once refused the Nobel Prize, explaining, "I have received enough reward while creating my work. A Nobel Prize cannot add anything. It pulls me down. It is for amateurs seeking recognition. I am old enough and have enjoyed enough. I have loved whatever I have done. It was its own reward. I don't want any other reward because nothing can be better than what I have already received." Paradoxically, the greatest success and impact often comes when we stop chasing them and instead do the work our gifts are asking of us. Psychiatrist Viktor Frankl's most renowned work, Man's Search for Meaning, was born out of this impulse. Frankl has since advised, "Don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you will miss it. Success, like happiness, cannot be pursued, it must ensue, and only does so as the unintended side effect of dedication to a cause greater than oneself. Happiness must happen, and so must success. You have to let it happen. Listen to what your conscience commands you, carry it out to the best of your knowledge, and in the long run, success will follow you because you forgot to think of it. This surrender is not resignation, but serene acceptance. I am simply doing the work I feel called to do. Whether my listening, my questions, my contemplations about the world create ripples is not for me to decide. My task is simply to show up, to respond to the assignment life has placed in my hands, and to do it with all the skill and passion I can muster. The rest is not up to me. If we feel we must know the results, then it is as Saint Teresa of Avila told her nuns, "You are not ready for the task. Go back in the kitchen and peel your potatoes." It's not that I can't set out to write the book I want to write and reach a lot of people. The book may come, but it won't come from this urgent, fearful belief that I must do something significant. The magic comes when there's no sense of forcing, simply allowing the synchronicities to flow, no matter how fleeting or ephemeral. And yet, whilst it's vital not to obsess over impact, it's also crucial not to undervalue ourselves either. The oak tree doesn't apologize for becoming itself. It doesn't shrink so the shrubs feel tall. Rumi offers to us some vital words. You say, "Look at all the work I do, even if I don't perform that task." You weren't created for those other tasks. It is as if you were given a priceless Indian steel sword and used it as a butcher's knife, or took a solid gold bowl to cook turnips in. How foolish that would be. You are more precious than heaven and earth. You do not know your own worth. You are priceless. Do not sell yourself short. You study law, philosophy, logic, astronomy, medicine, and the rest, but for whose sake but your own? When you reflect, you see you are at the root of all these branches. If the branches have their own laws and knowledge, think of what wonders lie within you who are the source. To know the spiritual laws and medicines that affect the soul, what qualities it has, and what it is made for. When we don't use our gifts, they wither away. They need expression, movement, circulation. There's an instructive series of gifts in the Homeric hymn to Hermes. After inventing the first musical instrument, the lyre, Hermes offers it as a gift to his brother Apollo. And in the very act of giving it away, he's inspired to create again, this time the pipes. The message is bestowal begets renewal. To give a gift is to open the channel for the next one to arrive. If we don't let what is in us out, we will be full of frustration, restless energy with no place to go. I've learnt this lesson the hard way. Whenever something in me demanded to be uttered and I gave it no expression, I suffocated in silence. The videos I've made, including this one, came from bringing forth what was within me so that it wouldn't destroy me. That doesn't mean that doing the work that is ours to do is easy. It's not. It's difficult for me to take on the role of listener in my communities, to internalize so much collective grief and trauma. It's difficult to leave behind a life I've built in Spain to go to England to care for my grandmother. It's difficult to accept that to truly create what's on my heart isn't lucrative or algorithmically friendly. Doing this work might not grant us a lot of the conventional aspirations of life, but it gives us something deeper, a soul satisfaction. The peace of knowing that we are living in integrity with what we came here to do.
What good is a fast car, a flash house and a gold-plated dunny to me? Absolutely no good at all. I've been put on this planet to protect wildlife and wilderness areas, which in essence is going to help humanity.
When we're doing the work that is truly ours, it may stretch us, tire us, break us open at times, but when we're doing the work that aligns with our spirits, hard work comes easy. I could spend hours listening to people, hours reading abstract academic articles for these videos, and I feel alive doing it. But ask me to do physical or practical tasks and I'm exhausted. It drains me in a way the deeper work never does. It's not about ease, it's about alignment. We have to choose our hard, choose our suffering. Whether we do this work or don't do this work, either way, there's a cost and a consequence. Civil rights activist Rosa Parks understood this. When asked why she refused to give up her seat on the bus, she said simply, "I sat down because I was tired." Not tired in body, but tired in spirit. Tired of denying her soul's claim to selfhood. In that moment, she made a radical decision. I will no longer act on the outside in a way that contradicts the truth I hold deeply on the inside. And when the police threatened to arrest her, she simply said, "You may do that," because she knew what many forget. The punishment imposed for claiming true self can never be worse than the soul murder we inflict upon ourselves by failing to make that claim. And the opposite is true as well. No external reward could ever compare to the deep, quiet joy of living by our own best lights. This is why I consider it a dangerous misconception to assume human beings long for a life of ease, pleasure, void of struggle. We long for a dragon to slay, a hill to conquer, a task that belongs to us and us alone. Such a pursuit may arouse inner tension rather than inner equilibrium, Frankl observed. However, precisely such tension is an indispensable prerequisite of mental health. To hammer home this point, Frankl was always fond of quoting philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche when he said, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." When I hear the words of Lorde, Rumi, Rilke, Irwin or Frankl, what strikes me above all is just how deeply ensouled these people are. The same goes for some beings who I've met in real life who literally made me weep in their presence. An Aboriginal man in the outback of Australia tending to the land. An old university professor so passionate about philosophy. Nurses in a clinic so loving and kind. There's something so contagious and infectious about these beings. They have a connection to something deeper and profound. That ambition that comes from within. That motivation that needs no validation. Probably the most well-known ensouled being that existed is the civil rights icon Martin Luther King.
You're going to be deciding as the days and the years unfold what you will do in life, what your life's work will be. And once you discover what it will be, set out to do it and to do it well. And when you discover what you're going to be in life, set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it.
Perhaps this recognition of the visceral, embodied, ensouled is what compelled Howard Thurman, mentor to Martin Luther King, to teach. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. The world doesn't need more people following blueprints without conviction. It does not need more hollow striving. What it needs is people living from the inside out. People daring to steward the life entrusted to them, discovering depths inside themselves they didn't know were there, deciding what is sacred and putting their life energies at its service. Those whose presence is an invitation. It feels good to be here. Wouldn't you like to come too? Because there'll come a time for all of us where we must face our mortality. In that final stillness, as we lie on our deathbeds, may we look back on the beautiful, messy tapestry of our lives and say with certainty, I've done the work that was mine to do. And may we have the courage to pass the flame, to meet the eyes of those around us and ask with Lorde's clarity, urgency, and love, are you doing yours? I'd love to hear in the comments, what do you ache for and how are you meeting your heart's longings? Becoming a patron is the best way you can help in the continuation of these videos. Liking, subscribing, sharing this video, leaving a comment, hitting the notification bell also is so helpful. In exchange for the cost of a coffee, you get a whole backlog of Patron-only podcasts and vlogs, bi-weekly Discord calls and a book club. And more than anything, just deep gratitude from me. I really couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much to my current patrons for making this channel possible. If you liked this video, you might like my video on why art matters even now. I hope you can all see the gifts you have within you and offer them to this world. Thank you. Goodbye.